Alrighty, welcome to another edition of Superkickin It with Stephen and Greg, your favorite two hosts. Stephen A right here, the Greg one over there. We were just talking off air before we went live. It has been a couple weeks, but we are back ready to go, fresh off some heel turns, fresh off a huge upset at Money in the Bank, if you really consider things. Just lots and lots to talk about. USA basketball's getting ready to gear up for their big championship run, hopefully to a gold medal. I've been seeing lots about that. Them in Canada had a couple scrimmages, I guess, or exhibition matches against each other. Yeah, just good times to be a sports fan and to be a wrestling fan, Greg. We also said we got to catch up on Forbidden Door and kind of what came out of Dynamite the past 2 weeks, kind of running the same exact angle, but with two different people. So, how in the world are you this weekend, Greg?
Hey, I'm good, man. It's just living the dream out here in way too hot Arizona, and yeah, just enjoying all the scene out here. The environment's cool, and so much sports going on. Don't forget, we got training camp about to start next week. I know rookies report next week, and so we're about to get some live action football happening. With at least inter scrimmage type of stuff. But football's footballing, and we're before we know it, we're going to be in September ready for that regular season. So there's that too.
Yeah, the sports counter just moves so quickly. MLB All Star Game Tuesday, Home Run Derby on Monday. So yeah, if you're a baseball fan, big stuff there. But we are coming off a week of Money in the Bank. So Greg, we did have Drew McIntyre win the Money in the Bank and then already lose his briefcase a couple matches later as he cashed in. CM Punk made an appearance. CM Punk wreaked havoc on Drew. Seth Rollins was perturbed by CM Punk's, involvement as well. So pretty good spots. I think a lot of people made mention of Andrade and Carmelo. When they kind of did a little tease or put a feud together last night on SmackDown. I do think they came out the best looking out of all the Money in the Bank match. So not a big surprise. Drew won. I guess you just wonder where Jey Uso's headed. We see Chad Gable still has the Wyatt 6 after him. When we get into Raw, I'll get more into my idea of where Jay goes as far as SummerSlam. And then, I guess Seth Rollins, as far as SummerSlam, do we just put him in a triple threat with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre right now, Greg?
I see. That's my whole issue with the whole Money in the Bank, this particular match. The reason I didn't figure Drew was going to win was because Punk was going to come out and get involved and cost him the chance to get the briefcase. So when he actually did win it, I was like, okay, so he's going to come in and ruin it some other way. I don't have any problem with Drew winning. Drew's been killing it in the ring and on the stick. And the rivalry with him and Punk has been so good. Just chef's kiss, just so good. And so when he came in and ruined the cash in due to Punk, I knew that now Seth's going to have beef with him. And this is going to create this 3-person dynamic. And that's what I don't want. I want Drew and Punk to finish this themselves. I don't want Seth in the middle because that third man is going to offset some of that heat. I know Seth's going to be bringing some heat of his own towards Punk. But now, it's just the what they call it, the friend of my friend is my enemy, or the enemy of my friend is whatever that old saying.
They're all just enemies. In this case, I think because Drew and Seth have beef just because they've been kind of screwed out of each other's match. Seth did get beat by Drew, for the title, and then Drew or Seth's already. I think Seth's also beat Drew for the title, so you can throw them together. But like you said, because I think we do. I would have rather done one-on-one at SummerSlam. But now, like I said, I don't know what else what else Seth can do at SummerSlam, because there's
Right.
really no other avenues right now.
Yeah.
Because we want
That's
to.
what I believe is going to happen now. We're going to get a triple threat match instead of the 101. Finally, really ignite the beef. Well, it's already been ignited, but push it up to 10 with Punk and Drew. So it could be good. It could be good with Seth getting involved in it too. But I was having more fun watching Drew and Punk one up each other, and the level of violence just go up level by level. So I don't know how this is going to change everything, and if Seth's going to bring his game to meet what they're doing right now.
And maybe you give Seth the upset win over both of them somehow. And then that keeps Drew and Punk like at 0, because we also have Bad Blood happening in October. So maybe they're saving something bigger, a stipulation match for CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. Because what better pay per view than Bad Blood to run that? So, because we'll have SummerSlam at the beginning of the month, we'll have Bash in Berlin at the end of the month, and then September looks kind of free of pay per views. So you got that to build up, and then Bad Blood is the 1st of October. But yeah, Sami Zayn, I think, pulled an upset win, right? Over Braun. I guess it's, the crowning achievement should be Braun at SummerSlam, and that's a bigger avenue. But Braun definitely needs that IC title at SummerSlam, I believe. And it looks like it's going to be the multi-man match. So maybe that looks bigger, and maybe he can beat somebody that, can take an L and doesn't, it just seems like, though, that was the time to pull the trigger. In Toronto, the crowd was all over Sami Zayn, kind of give them the, heartbreaking loss. But Sami pulls up the upset, I think. So really fantastic match. And now, like I said, we'll probably get Sheamus, we'll get Dragunov, we'll get Braun, we'll get Sami Zayn. Maybe you do a ladder match or, do some sort of stipulation. But I assume it'll be just a wrestling match, just because there really hasn't been the need for the ladder. So we'll kind of see. But Braun was still booked like a killer on Monday night, Greg. So he's obviously still in the forefront of our minds, getting that IC title match and the IC title.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I thought Braun was going to win, and we're kind of delaying the inevitable now. But maybe this is just giving Braun a mountain to climb, just so it's not so easy for him. Yeah. I know it's the importance of making him be a unstoppable monster heel, but you still want to, for the people who are supporting him, giving him an argument that he still had to take his lumps and pay his dues, and he's still that killer. Now he's got a belt, so I think he's earned it for everything he's done from his rise from NXT up to the main roster.
Yep. And don't worry, we have the segment of John Cena. I kind of give it its own. I want to give its own little time, just because that's huge to think about John Cena retiring. So we'll get back to that. So far, Greg, too, I think, we really did not have. We thought the ladder match would have lots of interference, and there was none. Sami Zayn and Braun Breaker kind of went off, as it did. Now, we did have the CM Punk, but I think the John Cena announcement, they wanted to give that as much time as they could, and kind of let that play out. But Tiffany Stratton won the women's Money in the Bank, but Chelsea Green, oh my God, I don't think we've seen a woman take a bump like that in a little bit of time. Io Sky's jumped off of everything, Greg, with a trash can. But yeah, Chelsea Green taking that bump and coming with the bedazzled neck brace on SmackDown last night. A Joel Gertner, the good old Dudley boy there. That's a little nice shout out for him. But Tiffany Stratton, it just, my guess was Chelsea Green, and obviously I was close, but no cigar. But Tiffany Stratton just made the most sense. There was really no other way you were going. Zoe Stark, thank God she's not concussed. because man,
Oof.
she ate the back of her head. Lyra, there was a couple, slips on the rope there for her. It's funny because I was seeing on, I think it's the Wrestling Observer newsletter. This was voted the best match of the night and the worst match of the night. Which, whatever, that's what, and some people brought up because there was definitely clunkiness, but there were still good moments in it. So I can see why. But Tiffany made the most sense, and Tiffany won. And it doesn't look like she's going to waste any time cashing in, Greg. She's not going to be one of these that hold it forever. I think she's going to cash in sooner rather than later as well. It'll be interesting to see if she does fail, though. Because, is she ready for the title right now or within 3 to 6 months?
Yeah. And I agree with Wrestling Observer. It was the best and worst match of the night.
Yes, the best of times is the worst of times.
Those bumps, those bumps were insane, man. I mean, both ladder matches, really ridiculous bumps off those ladders. So, and I agree because as I was watching that match and watching Lyra slip on the ropes and some of those moves that were like a beat off, like you hit the girl with the shot, and then she takes the impact like 2 seconds later. It's like, oh wait, bam, okay,
a little bit of lag.
Yeah,
buffering.
The match was buffering a little bit, so it was a little cringy. But when they hit those high spots, coming off the ladders, the one with the EO hitting Zoe with that Canadian Destroyer, I guess.
Yeah, or power bomb it. Yeah, the whatever.
Yeah. And man, I felt so bad for her because she looked like she hit her cranium right on that ladder on the way down with nothing to support it. Yeah. And Chelsea, good God, man, that was a beautiful bump. I mean, I'm sure it hurt like all hell, but it looked beautiful. So I mean, and I thought she was going to win for a minute before Tiffany got up there, but I agree that Tiffany is the right person to win. Did I pick her to win? No, but I love the fact they did choose her to win. And
Bluetooth disconnected.
Just going to make these segments
Bluetooth
with her and Nia being involved on the outside more interesting, like they set up last night on SmackDown. So, yeah, fantastic match. A little weird, and
Do you think Tiffany's holding the briefcase that long?
No. I give it a month or two at the most. Definitely not until next year's WrestleMania or whatever. But it's going to be sooner than later with her.
Yeah, it just feels like they know she's ready though for that moment. So that's what's going to be interesting, whether they put the title on her and let her run. So, but here we go, the main event. The Bloodline did defeat Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, and Kevin Owens. But that surprise ending of Cody Rhodes laying down for Solo is huge. I mean, and I harken back to like Jey Uso beating Roman Reigns last year in the tag match. It'd been a while since Roman had been pinned. I think Cody's only been pinned by 3 other people, they said. And now Solo's the 4th guy to pin him, since he's come back. That's a pretty elite company. This match had everything. This was Jacob Fatu no-selling a DDT, apron DDT from Randy Orton, but that shows how much they're really high on Jacob Fatu. And people said when he gets the microphone, we're really going to see how well-rounded this guy is. And that's kind of scary to think because, like we said, we don't necessarily want him to outshine Solo, though, unless you're really building it up for the Bloodline 2.0 to implode eventually, which always happens. But, Jacob looked great. Tonga Loa, though, we got to teach him how to do a low blow so he doesn't conk his brother in the head or just completely miss and have to do it again. But also people said Tonga ate a pretty good power bomb-ish or something. and it looked like he hit the back of his head, so maybe he was still kind of woozy from that. But there was action everywhere, and we got to give a lot of love to Kevin Owens. I mean, he was straight up with like his mom was in the hospital. He didn't know what emergency or whatever is going on, and then to go out and give a performance. Like he said, hey, I could have probably told him, hey, I can't make it.
Yeah.
And maybe taking them and they plug in somebody else. WWE's always next man up, but because then Kevin Owens was off last night, so hopefully his mom's okay. That gave me a little bit of pause, that he wasn't on, but maybe he got to spend time with her and all that. But Solo Sikoa pinning Cody Rhodes, Greg, and now we're off and running SummerSlam. And the "We Want Roman" chants were loud, Greg. And Solo selling, you ain't getting Roman, you got me. I mean, that pop for Roman is going to be quite the pop. So tell me your thoughts on the main event that we got there.
Yeah, I figured the Bloodline was going to win. Like we're still establishing their dominance.
Yeah.
And they've done a great job of it so far. Bringing in the new members and having them wipe out top stars, things like that. But as far as seeing them working together in a match and being a force, we haven't seen much of that yet. So it's all been promos and sneak attacks, stuff like that. But
they worked like an oil machine. They worked quite well.
They did, and even with the three, Cody, Randy, and Kevin, they're still outnumbered 3-4.
Yeah,
and I knew that numbers advantage was going to kick in at some point, and it did. So, the babyfaces still need more people, and this continues to, like I said, establish their dominance. And then with Solo getting the pin over Cody, then there's reason to say, I want the title shot. I pinned you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like, he's getting it just because he's the leader of the new bloodline.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
they're giving context to why they're doing it. And, we figure it's going to happen anyway, but, now there's logical reason for it to happen. So love the way they did it. Love the match. And, it's a little cringy on the crotch shot, but, forgive and forget.
But Jacob Fatu off that top rope. And then last night, some of the, he just jumped up like a cat and did some of those top rope maneuvers. I mean, he is really, he's starting to really show himself.
He's doing luchador moves, man. I was like, man, is my watching Jacob Fatu or Ray Phoenix right now? Because the way he's bouncing off those ropes and doing those flips, like, I had no idea that he was capable of that. I mean, this is the first time I've ever seen him.
Yeah.
So aside from the appearance, you know what to expect or have an idea of what to expect. But seeing that, him doing those somersaults and jumping on those ropes like it's nothing, like he's a 125-pound cruiserweight, that was ridiculous. So I'm more and more impressed by him every time I see him.
And I guess it'll be interesting, where do you go from all of this? Because you're selling the hell out of these guys. And now, once they reach that top, you might have to go back down a little bit. But speaking of the top, Greg, I had to give this its own moment because, yes, it was coming, but I didn't think it would be, announced, if that makes sense. I feared maybe it comes after the fact. And he's already got the farewell tour shorts going, Greg. Baseball is very notorious for this because I felt like, Mariano Rivera announced he was going to retire. Then he had a farewell tour.
Jeter
did Kobe announce? And then there was the Kobe tour, so we kind of knew that was happening. Right. So it's interesting. And, he did mention he wants to be on Netflix for Raw. So it sounds like it's going to kick off legit in January. Maybe he's going to be at the Royal Rumble. They'll be at Elimination Chamber. They'll be at WrestleMania. But then in the press conference, Greg, he brought up he wants to do 30 to 40 dates. So he still wants to go out throughout the whole year. So can you imagine what that SmackDown or Raw, like his last, whatever his last event will be? Those tickets will be ridiculous because people will know it's the last time you're seeing him in this capacity. And he deserves it. I mean, most guys retire and they're done. If there's anybody who's earned a retirement tour in this regard, it's got to be John Cena. Now, I know both of us are a little bit older, so we did not grow up, with John Cena. But, man, I mean, he's definitely grown on me in the past 10 to 12, 15 years. He definitely has earned his stripes, really grown on me, and just the stuff he does outside the ring, too. I mean, you just look at all the Make-A-Wish stuff. He's everywhere. He was, in India this week for, like, a huge wedding of somebody. And, I mean, the guy, I just can't imagine what his sleep schedule's like, Greg. If he has one. If he has one. It might be sleeping on planes. So.
At this point, I don't doubt it. I agree with you. Well deserved, and very out of the blue. Nobody saw that coming. But
yeah,
he's over 2 decades in the business, and this is the thing now that we just saw this with Sting in AEW, and I think his was long overdue.
Mm-hmm.
Cena, he's been doing, the really part-time one-off to come in, put people over. So he's doing his part to get back to the business because for so long he was the top of the ladder, and people were really doing their best to get him over as the top babyface, and he was, the money maker. And if we love the Let's Go Cena sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And the 3 moves of doom, give him all the crap for it, but he still put down some bangers of matches, and he was even better on the mic. So
yeah,
loved watching him. Sometimes I wasn't the biggest fan of his matches, but respect for him showing up day in, day out, and being entertaining, being a true star. And then we add in the stuff he does off camera with the Make-A-Wish and all those things, and it's definitely well deserved. I like it that he's giving himself pretty much another almost a year to do his farewell tour, because you figure 40 more dates. We're in July right now, so that's equal to be about another date per week from now through WrestleMania, if you want to stagger it that way. It may turn up at your house show. So he's giving himself room to, hit the cities, hit all the states, and, get his flowers from everybody. So I love that he's doing that. He's going to be on the big shows.
Who do you think he should get at? Who do you think he should get at WrestleMania?
Whoever he wants.
Yeah,
I think he's going to be able to call his shot, and he's going to get to have his last match against whoever he wants.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to end up picking his own opponent, and you don't need a storyline for him. The storyline is that this is my last match. I want it against X guy. Mm-hmm. So I think that I don't think it's going to happen organically or storyline wise. I think he's going to choose his own guy, and that's going to be his last ride.
I mean, and that's funny because he'll still keep going. He's saying, but I mean, people brought up Randy Orton, and I think that makes the most sense because they've never had a one-on-one match at WrestleMania, which is crazy to think. They've obviously wrestled each other. Yeah. If we still had Edge, I mean, I would do Edge and Cena, but I also like the idea of some young gun, a Braun Breaker or even Cody Rhodes. People brought up Cody going after him. So it's going to be very interesting to see what that last WrestleMania. But like I said, I mean, the way he's talking, he'll still go through December of next year. So maybe him and Orton will do a SmackDown match just for S's and G's. And I think they said Cena's been on TV at least once every year since 2001. I mean, that's so he's had, some sort of match on TV since 2001. That's a lot of wear and tear on the body. Now, there was that one year, I think it was, where it's like New Year's Eve. He didn't do any dates until New Year's Eve. So he just missed, he almost broke his own streak. But was that was him and Sammy versus Roman and Jimmy, or Roman and Jay, or something like that? I think there was that tag team match that they did. So they almost the streak was almost broken, but they somehow finagled that. So crazy to think John Cena has been on our TV in some regard, in some match, at least 2001. That's a lot of wear and tear on the body. So, and glad that he was able to announce it. Like I said, I think if he does WrestleMania, it's like, oh yeah, that's my last match. I think people would have been pissed because now it's like you can plan. You can be at that last WrestleMania. Or you could see when his last dates will be, or you could see Elimination Chamber, Royal Rumble. So now it's like, he's giving people an opportunity to see him on his way out. So,
right. But like you said, it does soften the blow a little bit, knowing that this is not the last time. WrestleMania won't be the last time we ever see him.
Yeah.
That he'll still do a random.
You still got house shows or Raws or Smackdowns or.
Yeah, or like Undertaker. Undertaker's done, but that doesn't preclude him from showing up during WrestleMania and hitting somebody with a choke slam and disappearing again. Yeah. So it could be like that same type of thing, a quick in and out type of deal.
Because like you said, he's still going to be part of the family. Wrestling wise, he's saying this will be his end. And like I've said before, I think guys are starting to maybe think, they want to be done by 50, just so that they can still enjoy some of their twilight years and still be healthy, and guys are obviously healthier now, better, keep in better shape. So, I mean, it's John Cena, obviously his shape. I don't think he's ever been in bad shape ever since he kind of came to the forefront of people's minds. But and really cool for Trish Stratus to kind of announce that and get her, flowers for him. So just interesting timing of it. But now we're prepping our farewell tour for John Cena. So
before we switch gears, sorry. Your thoughts about the pinfall that was it with Seth hitting the Falcon Arrow?
Yeah, that was that ref. I mean, it sounds like Drew McIntyre's music was supposed to hit, and it was like delayed. Maybe there was buffering all over the place. I mean, I guess the ref should just hit the 3, right? And then maybe you do the cash in. I mean, because even if you could still do the cash in and just have, you'd still, but then do you have Damien win the title right back? So I guess that's the hard part. Should they have just gone with it and done the cash in anyway, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, it's because we all saw it. There's no way to not see it. The camera's right in front of him, and he can just 1, 2, and his shoulder show down. This should be 3, and the ref does the 2 sign. Like, what the? So
I guess you better not do those ref cams like they had in WCW back in the day, because they were talking about that we might go back to that. I'm like, I don't know if you want to do that.
Yeah, so it just looked super janky, and that took some shine off the match for me. But it's not just the women; it's the men screwing stuff up too.
Yeah.
And even if there was a music cue that's supposed to hit, you stay in your lane and you roll that shoulder anyway.
Yeah.
That shoulder wasn't tapped down at all anyway. It would have been easy for him to turn it up. So that was something that it's like.
Well, Damien, you can tell he was pissed with this whole. I think Damien really took a lot of blame because he was off a little bit in the match. For whatever reason. But then again, I think he's putting a lot of pressure on himself because there is the rumblings like, you're not delivering as champion. So, is he getting in his own head about that? So, but
Mhm.
you could tell after all the dust was settled, I mean, he did not look happy with everything that went down.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure they all got a nice little talk too from Triple H and produce. Well, who knows? Maybe producers take the blame. It's probably a little bit on everybody. So,
Yeah.
like I said, if the three's there, I mean, refs have counted. There's been like title changes before, I think, because person didn't get up. And I thought the U.S. title back in the day, or it's happened before, and you have
Yeah.
the. And I guess you do have the out of the Money in the Bank anyway. So what you can do is have that cash in, call it on the fly, and let Damien, beat Seth right back, and Damien gets
Mhm.
the title right back. So you kind of make it work, but in that moment, because then Drew's music hit anyway. It was like a 10-second delay, but yeah. So speaking of new champions, Greg, Ethan Ego Page. Only took him what, 2 months?
Right.
8 matches, I think they said. Um, it's crazy to think. I mean, he must have really made a good impression with Shawn Michaels and Triple H, right? To get a title already.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead, have at it.
Well, first, shout out to the whole NXT roster for a great card.
Yeah,
And like Money in the Bank, there are still some cringy moments in there with some people screwing some stuff up in matches, but still, um, this the title match, still everything, just
yeah,
all the flowers. It was a fantastic match, and I like how it ended. It was very surprising. I'm sure all of us had Trick written down and walk away. That that's a we nailed it, and uh, it's a regular. It's a usual trope that they use. Somebody hits the big finish and then to get thrown out of the ring so that somebody can vulture their pin.
yeah,
Um, so it was an apt way to do it for Ethan, and he got knocked out too, and he's just laid his way into a
yeah.
win. So uh, love that finish, love the match itself. All four brought it, and it was quite the image to leave with, Trick being dragged out of the ring as the three counts being made, and Ethan Page is the new champ. So because a lot of the universe still doesn't know much about Ethan Page unless they were watching the AEW, and even if you're watching AEW, you still didn't see that much because
Unless you were watching Impact Wrestling
there
back
you
in the
go.
day.
So
Uh,
uh,
yeah, him and Josh Alexander were a huge tag team. He was doing a lot of good stuff there. And then, of course, the very ending shot, though, Greg, say his name and he appears, Joe Hendry. Like, I was like, oh, my, they're really high on Joe Hendry as well. And I'm hearing his contract could be up sooner rather than later. So they might
uh,
swoop in and get, because they've already put him on NXT TV. You're really pushed. Yes, he got thrown out right away, Greg, in that battle royale, but obviously, he's showing out. So, JC Jane and Jasmine Neeks, they ate a L to the Toronto girls. Pretty cool because I think Santino Marella was there in Toronto. So,
oh,
pretty cool to
nice.
see his daughter get a win and all that good stuff because they're from Canada. Oba, beat Wesley, but we saw where Wesley is headed now. Greg back with the Rascals. So we have Trey or Wentz. I can't think of his first name now.
Trey Miguel and
I
Zach
started to say
Wentz.
Zach. Yes, I started to say Carson, but I knew that was not. Obviously, that was completely wrong. Because Zach had his own kind of allegations against him, so that must have all got cleared out in the back. And I guess we'd even bring up too. Jacob Fatu was not technically supposed to enter Canada because of his criminal history, and they said they had to get a very high-powered immigration law firm involved to get him up there, Greg, and even Jey Uso. because Jey Uso brought that up. He was happy to be in Canada because I think he's got a small. Now I think his is a little bit smaller because Jacob Fatu, I believe, spent time in prison. So that's obviously a bit bigger deal. But Wesley Etziel, but he's back with the Rascals for a little bit, which is, you could tell all three of those guys on NXT, they were very excited to be back together. And now we'll kind of see what that means, going forward, because I think they're booked for NXT and they're booked for Impact to kind of go back and forth. So cool stuff there. Kaylani Jordan picks up a win. My fun fact about Kaylani Jordan is I heard her and Carmelo Hayes are a thing, Greg. So there you go there.
Okay.
quick romances happening on the circuit there. But what do you think about kind of the first couple matches there? Obafemi picks up the big win. We'll see where he's headed next. And Kaylani Jordan picked up a win. Both women got their flowers, though, after the match. Nice standing ovation for both women.
Yeah. Oba, thank you. Because I don't want to see any more Wesley as champion. And he just didn't get over with me. It seemed like everything he did just fell short. When he started with MSK, and I got what they were trying to do with them, but it just didn't look authentic.
Yeah.
And I never could get on with them. And then him with his singles run, I think I would have been easier to get on board. His matches were decent, but I hated the cardiac kick because it doesn't look like a move that would finish a guy that was bigger than him. I know it looks nice and flashy, it looks good on camera and everything, but it was hard for me to buy in with that. I mean, I need some substance to go at, some steak to go with the sizzle. Okay.
Yeah.
So he was a lot of sizzle and not enough steak for me. That being said, I want everybody to shine, because the better they do, the better wrestling we all get. So it never got there for me with him. I don't watch TNA. I mean, I tried to watch the last pay-per-view and it was meh. Maybe this Rascals angle be good for him. They can show something that is more real for them, because you can tell they're real life friends. And
exactly.
When they're like that, what they do on screen comes across a lot better.
More authentic.
So if they're being mischievous, or if they're being heels, because we don't know what they look like, they're going to be baby faces, but they could be even more fun as heels. And bouncing back between TNA and NXT could be great for them. So I'm curious to see how they're going to do as a trio. I did, during that last TNA pay-per-view, I did see the Rascals, the other two. And their tag team match was a banger. I forgot who they were wrestling against, but they had an awesome match. Trey Miguel is awesome. I knew that from the few matches of his that I've seen already. And then him and Wentz worked really well together, and they had a great match with whoever they were with at that last pay-per-view. So mix in Wesley, it could be something phenomenal. So I'm not writing him off. I hope he does great with these other two, and that brings something out of him that we didn't see while he was a solo.
And then I guess it's funny, the women's match, real quick. So Dave Meltzer, everybody's favorite Uncle Dave, was really down on this match, Greg. But it's funny because they essentially pulled out. Did you see the Twitter post that people showed the Ricochet and Ospreay match, and then it showed the Sol Ruca and Kaylani Jordan like top and bottom, and there's some of the same. There was almost the same sequence for about 15 to 20 seconds of flippy shit, as they call it, and it's there is a little bit. You got to wonder, is there a little there? I mean, obviously there's a little bit of bias. If you're going to say, hey, the women, this was a spot fest, blah, blah, blah. But hey, the men, oh my God, this was awesome spot fest. And it literally has the same exact sequences, almost to a T. So I just can't buy, I just don't, these women should be, I can't buy that one is over the other when it's the exact same thing. I hope that
Yeah.
makes sense, but because yeah, it is interesting to see the sequences. I mean, it's legit frame by frame. If you slow it down, it's just like the same thing. So, uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
I was a little bummed with this match. Um, like I said last week, just said that I thought it was too soon for Sol Ruka to get in there with
yeah,
Kaylani.
it was, yeah,
Because with Kaylani just getting the championship a few weeks ago, it's way too soon for a title change, and to be really setting the bar low if you have her lose it immediately after getting it.
yeah,
And Soul is on the rise. People are down with it, and she looks fantastic. Um, I think she needs to add some more moves to her arsenal, but the stuff she does right now, it looks great. The Soul Snatcher is a beautiful finish.
hmm
And I can definitely see her winning the title at WrestleMania with that move,
yeah,
and the place just going nuts. It's going to happen. Book it. But she's still got some work to do in NXT as far as she's got to get proficient on the stick. She doesn't get much talk time
hmm
yet.
yeah,
So she definitely needs to get that right. And I think she needs to add a few more moves. And I want to see a bit of a nasty streak out of her. You can be all happy, lucky, and, fun loving and all that. But there needs to be a time when we get down to business and it's time to get this work, and you show some of the mean side. We haven't seen that from her. So as biased as I am for Soul, I love me some Soul. I still want to see her add some viciousness to her game, and that's going to represent even better knowing that she has that capability for when those big matches come up. She's not going to be always facing a babyface champion
yeah.
as a babyface. So I want to see more out of her, but she has all the potential in the world. So this was a good match. There were still some spots where you still a little cringy because they hit on a bunch and they missed on a bunch too. So they both still have a lot of work to do, which is why they're still in NXT right now. But sky's the limit for both of them.
Yeah. I think you can bring that up too about Roxanne and Lola. Like Roxanne missed the pop rocks a couple times and still kept going after it. Now Lola
Yeah.
Vice did get a little standing ovation after the match, so obviously people are high on her. Tag team champions Axiom and Nathan Frazier did pick up the win. We're still waiting on the blow up of that tag team, but what about Roxanne and Lola? Any thoughts there?
Like I said, it would be a 5-star banger if they weren't screwing up so many of the moves.
Yeah.
And I had that thought watching those matches that if they had more seasoning and this match was happening again with the same script, so to speak, and they were doing the same moves, that it would be a match of the night, show stealer. But the fact that they're missing and slipping and doing these things and not hitting correctly, that took the star level down from a 5 to a 3. So still good. And Lola's definitely got something. She's got the look. She's got, unlike my issue with, Wes, her finish looks awesome. And I'm still not a big fan of trying to do all the martial arts stuff.
Yeah.
It just, as a avid MMA fan who knows what these moves do, and they're just, you hit somebody with a knee to the face and they pop back up a second later. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
So it takes a little bit off of it for me, but you get what they're trying to do, make it look more legitimate, doing the MMA stuff mixed in. But I still think they need to stay in their lane, both the men and the women, when it comes to overuse of the martial arts angle.
Yeah.
But there's certain people who've done it like Lola, who headlined Madison Square Garden in an MMA fight, who know how to do it. It should be entrusted to them and not to every person on the roster.
Yeah. So yeah, that was kind of the big stuff there. Some some Raw stuff. We did have Joshua join our chat and say, "Did we see SmackDown yesterday with Tiffany and Nia?" So we will get to that during our SmackDown section. Kind of give you our thoughts on that. I think we both kind of assume it's going to be very interesting to see what happens there. We already saw the glimpses of what could happen there. So SummerSlam should be quite interesting to see which direction they go and whether Tiffany does cash in or not. Now I keep going. Raw had a few things happening for it. CM Punk, Seth Rollins went back and forth. I thought Seth had some pretty legit gripes with CM Punk and some pretty good shots. You know, we all know CM Punk's a self-centered, egotistical guy who's probably never said sorry in his life. Maybe to AJ, but maybe Larry, but that's about it. So I thought, I'm going to say maybe Seth Rollins got round one, Greg, over CM Punk. And it's funny because CM wanted to get in there and Seth just kept going. Like you could see him start to bring up the mic and Seth's like, nope, it's my time. So now the one-on-one match, I wanted at WrestleMania, Greg. It doesn't look like they're going to wait till WrestleMania for the one-on-one match, does it?
No, doing it this soon, probably not. Like
maybe
I said, with
Royal Rumble.
Rumble would make more sense, because while the Drew and Punk thing is still going on, that's going to buy him some time.
Yeah.
Like once the Drew side is finished, now we can pivot into the Seth side with Punk. So, as long as that's the way you can, have it go to the beginning of the year, and the Rumble. So there's still plenty of time to do it if you do it right. And I agree, this segment was awesome, and I think Seth definitely won this segment. I think we're doing slowly painting Punk into a heel, by Seth pointing out, how selfish he is, and Punk wasn't doing much to, counter his arguments.
Yeah.
And so, Punk's best when he is a heel, I think. And, we're doing the outline and we're going to color it in as we go the next few months. And I think by the end of the year, Punk's going to be a full-on heel, and people are going to be booing him outside of Chicago. So I like what they're doing. And like I said, round one goes to Seth on the stick. Anyone who can aim at Punk on the stick gets all the love, because Punk will destroy everybody given a chance. So it was a great way to start.
And I guess you could go back. You can go the other way, though, too, and say Seth is probably due for a heel turn. So it'd be interesting to see which direction they do go ultimately. Because I can, Seth has done this stuff for a while. I think it's time to, kind of put the flashy clothes away, maybe give us a T-shirt and a pair of black jeans, and, let him just kind of cook on the mic as he can. But I can see your point, though, because like we said, too, I mean, look at some Punk stuff he's done. Screwed over Drew in his hometown. Screwed Drew over now. I mean, that's a heel move.
Heel stuff.
So I could see where we're going. We could go either direction, and that's probably a good thing to kind of leave it up in the air. Maybe also let the crowd dictate, which direction to go with it.
Sure.
So Chad Gable looks to be fully entrenched in the Wyatt Six. Does he get Uncle Howdy right away, Greg? And then I want to bring up Jay Uso, because right now Jay kind of looks on the outside of SummerSlam, doesn't he? So we'll start first with Chad Gable. Uncle Howdy, or does Uncle Howdy throw somebody else at him first?
No, I think Chad is going to be the example.
Yeah.
Somebody has to be the first, And when um, when we're taking out this first one, it needs to be the most vile and brutal. And this is a sign of what's going to happen to everybody else.
Mhm.
So he's going to be the sacrificial lamb. And I think if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be, you know, the guy we see as the leader, Uncle Howdy.
Mhm.
So unless a sixth person comes in that takes the top of the spot from him, which, we don't see who it is, but who knows? Um, But I think if anybody's going to start the carnage, it's got to be Uncle Howdy, because he's the one we know. He's the most mysterious one,
Mhm.
because we've seen glimpses of him before, but never really see him do anything.
Yeah.
And then just be able to unleash him and show that viciousness, and have Gable be the first casualty. It's really going to set the bar and give us an idea of what to expect. So we can't start with Huskus or any of the others
Yeah.
until we see how it's going to start from the top.
And we did see the video was kind of revealing the rest of the family, which is awesome. We kind of need more of that to play out why, um, Bo Dallas got the people he got. Now, Jay Uso, on the other hand, right now, Greg, with all things are considered, I think there's no road for him. But I also think we bring Jimmy back in time before SummerSlam, and boom, we get him versus Tonga and Telma, right? So I mean, there's a way to get Jay and Jimmy on SummerSlam, but right now it's hard telling. So, what are your thoughts on Jay and SummerSlam, Greg?
No, my thought is that he's not going to be on the card, but he's going to be there
Involved in the
at
main
at the
event?
end when
Yeah,
the new bloodline is in the ring holding it down,
yeah,
and then we hear Roman's music hit and the place goes bananas. Let's say Roman comes out by himself,
hmm
and you know we got Roman there, and then the four of the new bloodline in the ring. They say, "Okay, let's go get him." And they start get out the ring, and then out from behind Roman come both the Usos,
yeah.
and then even more
Even
crazy. We're
bigger.
putting the band back together,
Mhm.
and then maybe the honorary Uso comes out, because I don't think Sammy's going to have a well, but no, he does have a title.
Yeah, I
So
was
he's
gonna
going to have
say
to defend it.
he's got the IC
Never mind.
title. I think he'll be fine.
But I think he's if Roman comes out, he's going to bring four with him,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
there's definitely another Samoan to pull out to even the odds.
Yeah.
So I think that's where Jay's going to come out. He's going to somehow end up reunited with Roman,
And
and
Jimmy.
he's going to get inserted into the Bloodline Civil War.
Yeah.
We haven't seen Jimmy since Solo wiped him out, um, and Jay's been, there's no direction for him with him losing the Money in the Bank um, opportunity. So,
And Jay
but
has an issue has reason to back up Cody. Like maybe Jay's the first guy to kind of come out and try to sit. There's probably be a ref bump or maybe.
sure.
I mean, do we maybe do bloodline rules so then that way we can just have all this carnage happen, Greg? Or do we just need? I kind of hate ref bumps in such a high quality match, but I also understand it. So I think I'd rather just give it the bloodline rules or no DQ or something to kind of just let it, especially after last night. You saw the carnage that unveiled, so we probably need some sort of no DQ match anyway, right?
Now, what I'm thinking, we haven't had war games yet this year, and they usually set war games for the end of the year, like November, when there's nothing
Yeah,
going
just
on.
Survivor
That would
Series.
be a great match to put the Bloodline Civil War into, because
Yeah,
you have a few months to do the crossover. One jumps the other, and one jumps
yeah.
back, and
Mhm.
you do that for a month and a half. Really get that heat going, and then throw them all into that double-sided cage with the two rings,
Yep.
And we don't need heels versus babies with this bloodline. We stick just all of them in there and let them kill each other.
Mm-hmm.
That we're going to be on the edge of our seats for that. So
yeah. Well, I
think that's where we go.
I meant SummerSlam match. Like Cody and Solo. Do we need to throw in a stipulation there so we get out all this involvement, or do we just kind of do a couple ref bumps and that gives you the reason to bring out Roman and bring out Jay and bring out Jimmy?
No, I think what makes more sense is that you set it up as a regular match.
Yeah.
And of course, somebody's going to slither in under the ring or out of the crowd.
Yeah, that's true.
One ref bump, Solo's going to, well, let's see. I think Solo wins. And then that's even more of an onus for.
Wins the title?
Wins the title or wins by DQ?
Okay. Okay.
No, not by DQ. You can't win by DQ either. So
yeah, he can't win the title by. Well, I mean, he can win by DQ, but he would not win the title.
Right. Well, that would mean that Cody would be the one to get disqualified. So
yeah. And I think with him just winning anyway, yeah, he's definitely not winning this match. So
right. But what if there needs to be a way for him to be standing there at the end of the match and Cody on the ground and Solo still standing there, fist in the air. So, how do we get there? Maybe they jump him afterwards or.
Yeah. I think that'd be fine. Because no matter what, Roman and company are going to be standing tall. Or, maybe they back up. Maybe the Solo takes his crew and backs them up and does that. So you don't have them touch yet. But no matter what, Roman is standing tall at the end of SummerSlam with Cody Rhodes and company. So, yeah. So we did talk up. So Bronson Reed got a big win over Pete Dunne. I'm guessing I guess that's the thing too. Now we see Bronson and Sheamus going at it. Could that be a one-on-one match for SummerSlam, Greg? Or does Bronson finagle his? It is a multi-man match for the IC title. Maybe Bronson gets involved there. I think I'd rather do Bronson and Sheamus one-on-one though, Greg.
I do. Big hoss fight.
Yeah.
Love a good hoss fight. And I'm bigger on that than multi-man matches.
Do some meat match. Arby's. Yeah. Does Arby's need a sponsor? They can sponsor the big beefy invitational.
Yeah, they should. They know it's good for them. They should. Absolutely.
So Braun Breaker did take out Sami Zayn, but then Dragunov came out. Dragunov beat Braun Breaker by DQ. Judgment Day picked up a win, Greg, over Braun and Austin Truth. Damon Control picked up a win, but now we saw this new faction formed by Sonya Deville with Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. I'm going to call them the uncharismatic trio, Greg, because this is like the least. There's just yeah.
Agreed.
I got nothing. Agreed. Anyways, but Dirty Dom picked up a win over his daddy with the help of Liv Morgan. But Mammy is back, Greg, and she is not happy about things. So it is going to be very interesting TV with her and Eddie. Her and Dominique trying to make up for lost time. But there was also a closing shot, I think, on WWE Digital that showed Liv smiling the whole thing. So Liv might just be on the outs anyway, Greg, and just thinking she played her plan perfectly. But Liv and Rhea at SummerSlam is going to be huge with Dominic, guest referee?
Oh, that would be great.
Shark cage? Do they have any? I'm sure they got shark cages. We still have Shark Week just happened, Greg. I'm sure they have shark cages, still sitting around in the back.
Right, they do. That would be a great move to make Dominic the special referee.
Yeah.
You talk about putting all the drama in the bag and just releasing it. That would be fantastic. So great way to end with Mommy's reappearance
Mhm.
and Dominic going full mount on Liv at the time.
Yep.
So um, find the most awkward position possible and then hit her music. It was great.
Mhm.
So it's and the I heard the promo during SmackDown that Raw is going to lead off with Rhea Ripley.
Uh-huh.
So they were real
That
quick to
should be
put that
very
in there.
interesting. Yeah.
She's going to kick off the show and she's going to have something to say.
I think she's going to get some babyface pop too, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. She
So
already
that's gonna,
already was. So
yeah, so that's going to be interesting to kind of see how Judgment Day. And then also I saw, Finn Balor saying, "Whatever you say, boss." So there is the T. We're now starting to turn the key on Finn Balor and probably Damian Priest, either at Bad Blood or maybe the Bash in Berlin. So we're starting to get those teases as well. NXT stuff. So we did see the tag team have to do a one-on-one match. I still want Ariana Grace to pick up a freaking win, Greg. Is it too much to ask right now? I guess it's her time. It's too soon for her, right?
I don't know about too soon, but I like Oriana. She's doing the little pageant queen thing
There's
to the
something there.
nines. Um, it's great backstage, but in the ring, I don't know. I need to see more to it as far as being, heelish,
Yeah,
because that's what she is, and I don't see enough of it, and it's not believable
yeah.
to me. I mean, the offstage, yeah, but the in ring, no. Uh, and I know she's got the
I would think she's got the pedigree there.
exactly, yeah. So she should be able to do these things, and I don't know, they just haven't let her loose with it,
Yeah,
but they need to let her, unleash that wild side, that um, part that can do some damage, so that we can, get behind it. Because
yeah.
right now it just looks kind of phony
They
translating
kind of
from.
gave up on the Gigi Dolan stuff with her, so
Mhm.
obviously it's all in on her by herself. But yeah, Tony D'Angelo defeated Lexus King, but Eddie Thorpe was. They have that special section where the next person comes up, I guess. So yeah, Eddie Thorpe and Tony D'Angelo going at it. That's fine. I've kind of lost interest in Tony D'Angelo, Greg, and the
Yeah,
family. Have you?
it's there. You
Yeah.
know, me my familiar beef with the stock characters and doing the
There's
whole
only so much they can do with them.
the Sopranos angle and
Yeah.
this meh. I
Yeah.
hope they don't bring that to NXT to the main roster.
That's going to be interesting. Yeah. I don't know how you, yeah. I'll be curious to see what you can do to up the game of it on the main roster. So,
Hmm.
Gallus picked up a win over whatever those two names are. But we did see Gallus and the Rascals are going to go at it. Thea Hale picked up a win, and then I did see Izzy Dame was the sacrificial lamb for Jordan Grace, I guess, this past week. Greg, there was another open challenge, so
Oh, really?
sorry for you for Izzy. But Thea Hale keeps picking up little wins here and there. OTM picked up a win over OC, but that was all about Jada and Meechin, right? Kind of
Yeah.
going at it. So we got to get them in some sort of one-on-one match again, I guess. And I thought we did a street fight with them, so I don't know what else we could do next with them, Greg.
Yeah, Jada looks better every time I see her. Just
Yeah,
you know, as much beef I have with Ariana not looking authentic, when
yeah.
she gets in the ring, it's the opposite for
Oh yeah,
Jada.
yeah.
She looks more legitimate when she gets in the ring. Everything, the mean mug, her fighting style,
Mhm.
the way she goes about it, her promos, she looks like if you met her in person, that would be who she is.
Oh yeah.
So,
Like, and that's the
every
best type of character.
yeah, every time I see her, I like her more.
Mhm. Sol Ruka defeated Fallon Henley via DQ because JC Jane and Jasmine Neeks decided to help out Fallon. Does Fallon get a kind of a cow. Does she go away from this cowboy look now? Do you think, Greg?
Yeah, just really not doing anything for her. I mean, and join a bad girls club and reinvent their look.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, it did a lot. Look at Mandy Rose.
exactly.
It did.
Yeah.
It kind of. I mean, it saved her career, honestly, because I
It
think
did.
Mandy Rose was kind of on the edge of, either going to make it happen or she was on the out. So yeah, I don't think Fallon Henley's in that spot yet because Fallon Henley's obviously been featured enough, Greg. But I do think she needs to get away from this whole cowboy. And then we also did see Shawn Michaels is going to invite, is it Britt or which is it Jensen Brooks?
Brooks, yeah.
Because he keeps showing up. So we're going to see what that's all about. And then, of course, we did get the appearance of Joe Hendry. I've been watching some Joe Hendry entrances, Greg. He's done a Queen one. He did a Foo Fighters one, set to the tune of Hero, My Hero. He called it Your Local Hero. And he recreated kind of the music video to that. And then, he did obviously do a Queen one, being a British English guy. Makes a lot of sense to do that. So, man, they are high on Joe Hendry in NXT. And you could tell they are just chomping at the bit for that contract to be done sooner rather than later, Greg. And we did forget to mention Stephanie Vaquer, will be a new NXT member, even showing up to live events this weekend. She gets one match at Forbidden Door against Mercedes, Greg, and she's off and running in the NXT WWE world. But she had to try out, I saw in 2018. So it was always her dream to get there. So it probably not surprising. She never really considered AEW a place. But Trick Williams gets the win with Joe Hendry. I'm guessing we'll get Trick and Ethan one-on-one to kind of play that off. Do we think it's it for Trick Williams down there, Greg?
No, I think
maybe through the next. I mean, I could see him on the main roster by next year by Royal Rumble, sure. Right? I mean, or is that too soon?
You said at the latest by the draft.
Yeah, and if they do the draft, I mean, they're kind of finicky with their draft. It feels like.
Right, and that's gonna be around WrestleMania time, post WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I can see bringing them up by Rumble. Put him into the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And then let him go from there. Do the hottest free agent business that they like to do.
Especially if you a standoff with maybe Carmelo's the only one in the standing tall. You bring Trick there.
Yep.
Kind of play that off. Yeah.
So, but it's not the end of his run, but it's getting close to time for him to go.
It feels like it. Yeah. He's not going to get the title back, right? I guess we could say that.
Yeah, I think so. So. He's passing.
So it's going to be interesting to kind of see what they do with him without the title, just because he's had it for a pretty good chunk of time. Smackdown, this was all about the bloodline, but Bayley, Nia, and Tiffany definitely put on a good little interaction. And like I said, the Tiffany and Nia stuff is really going to make that briefcase very important. So Michin got involved. I don't know. I guess Naomi was too worried about Blair Davenport, Greg. I just assumed Naomi would come. But it's nice to see Michin get that spot to kind of save Bayley and then get the match against Nia Jax. I would have liked Michin maybe to get the upset win because we know Nia's got the title match anyway. So, it wouldn't necessarily hurt her, but Michin does eat the L. Michin really looks in good shape too lately. I've just noticed that kind of thinned out a little bit. So obviously there's something there. And then Tiffany teasing the cash in. So I was like, well, Bayley's down. Why are you not, you might as well tease it. So, that's kind of the beginning of that, Greg. I know we talked a little bit about it, but any other thoughts to kind of tie up that in?
No, I obviously Triple H sees something in Michin because I had written her off for a long time, but She's looking better lately, but
Yeah,
she's never really got any steam aside from being associated with the OC.
yeah,
Um, and it's just there's nothing you know solid about her to get behind. I mean, if
yeah,
they talked about her history in Japan and being so well traveled and everything, but it doesn't come across when you see her, in matches.
mm,
She's looking better, but she's just there. She's an ancillary character, so she hasn't really done the steps to get herself into the limelight as a star. So, there's some that are supposed to be stars, and some supposed to be supporting characters, and
yeah.
that's where she is right now. Um, that's the openings with Tiffany and Nia and Bailey was awesome. Um, the promo was good, and then uh, the angle where after she squashes Bailey with the well, no,
Annihilator.
not late
Well,
where Bailey's down,
yeah. She took
and
out
Tiffany
Bailey.
goes back and lets Nia leave first, and has thought about pinning Bailey while she's laying there.
Mhm.
Um, it
And then
was great.
Nia's right back in the ring, like, what are you doing? And that's what's
Yeah.
going to be interesting to see at SummerSlam. You know, I won't be surprised if Tiffany just cashes in then and just makes it a triple threat, which is kind of what we just did, Greg. But hey, AEW recycled storylines for the past 2 weeks, so why not?
Yeah, I mean, for a second there, it looked like Tiffany was about to take that suitcase, the briefcase, and bash Nia with it.
Yeah, yeah.
'Cause you can tell she looked at her and she had the thought crossed her mind, and then she thought better of it. So maybe it's going to happen at a later time. It's a little foreshadowing right there, I think.
Oh, yeah. But the fact that they're already teasing it doesn't make me think, like you said, she ain't holding it till Royal Rumble. that thing is going to be gone before we know it. So,
We were talking about Mandy Rose earlier.
yeah,
While Tiffany was, sitting there, maybe it was the way they were hitting her with the lights and everything, but I saw Mandy Rose in NXT as doing
yeah,
the Golden Goddess
yeah.
gimmick, and she looked just like Mandy at that moment, holding the briefcase,
Yeah, yeah.
and the way the lights were on her. I think they're similar proportion wise, let's say, and she looked a lot like I had Mandy Rose flashbacks right there as the Golden Goddess. And that could be Tiffany. Um, her hair is a different shade of yellow, but um, they could be redoing that with her
Yeah.
and the whole Tippy Time gimmick. I mean, I wasn't a big fan of hers when she first started doing the Daddy's Little Rich Girl uh, standard business, but she's definitely grown on me as she's gotten better, and she's more than just a
With more than just a pretty face
exactly. So
and a gimmick. Like she can go in the ring.
yeah,
I mean, because
and
she
they've gotten
did.
away from doing the Daddy's Little Rich Girl stuff too, which
Oh
is
yeah,
even better.
yeah, yeah. I think that was the start because they're like, well, it just made the most sense. But I mean, and she did what Street Fight with Becky Lynch, so or went through the did a couple table spots, so she's definitely eating her paid her dues, as they said. So.
Yeah.
Two guys thrown together, Greg. Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews. Anyways, LA Knight gets a title shot. Greg, what will you do when LA Knight wins the U.S. title?
Yeah, all
Yeah.
over the place, man. I mean, just
I think
walking around
did
the
you see?
airport going. Every time somebody asks me a yes or no question,
Yeah.
yeah. Just,
I was gonna say there's a news. It's funny. He was on the local news with some girl, some woman, and she like unbuttoned and she had the shirt on. I was like, oh my gosh. But yes, I think it's gonna be a really good match too because Logan Paul obviously could go in the ring, and we're finally gonna get LA Knight getting something. I think last year people said he won the Slim Jim Battle Royal last year at SummerSlam. So he's definitely due, Greg, to get a something. So I guess we also could look at how about the work of Piper and Chelsea Green in the back, Piper reading the book of how to start a cult, and then Chelsea making Piper hold her stuff, and then also you had Pretty Deadly wanting Nick Aldis to sign off on their musical. I'm okay with the Chelsea Green Piper Niven Pretty Deadly combination of just who can irk Nick Aldis more. So I'm down for that. But we also did see Naomi gets the win in the ring, and Naomi gets taken out anyway by Player. So it's it's still about all the wins in the ring though, Greg, and I'd hate for Naomi to eat some L's to Blair, but I mean, we got to get some of these up and coming women some wins, right?
True, but it's good to set the standard. That she wins the first match.
Yeah, that's true.
So she's not going to be taking all the L's. Yeah, and it could go back and forth 50-50, and they take turns one up in each other, and that's still going to put them both over. More importantly, it's going to help Blair get some street cred by being able to take out Naomi after, taking a loss to her. So it can help both sides.
And congrats go to DIY. Not quite in Cleveland, Greg, but they did win last week, and then they defended them this week and retained them. But we're seeing we're going to see the breakup of A-Town Down Under. And it sounds like they might want to do Theory as the face. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean they're doing that. Theory is a sympathetic character because Waller keeps putting him in danger and causing him to take all the big shots and take the L's, and so he's going to be the one with the beef with Waller, not the other way around. So that would naturally put him in the babyface side of the coin.
It'll just be interesting to see if he can do it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather him stay the way he was, because after he went from being the goofy backstage guy to, going out the beard and having a mean streak and, cutting 5
US
promos.
title run.
Yeah, no, I would rather him do that and just because you have two different style of heels. Mm-hmm. So you have the smarmy Weasley heel over here at Waller, and then you have the more serious, I'm going to break your face type of heel with Theory. Yeah. And we still got, way too much ego, and but there's nothing wrong with, two heels beating each other up too. So just we're going to side more with Theory than Waller.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, like I said, congrats to DIY. It just kind of sucks they couldn't have given it to them at SummerSlam, right? In Cleveland, like it was.
Yeah.
I hate to ask, do we think that they might? Is Johnny Gargano going to get even a match at SummerSlam?
I think it'd be easy enough to do a title defense at SummerSlam. Yeah. Have somebody
let him that, let them have that nice moment. So
yeah,
But, and then of course the Bloodline destroyed Randy Orton. They put Cody Rhodes in the ropes. Jacob Fatu, like I said, was bouncing off those ropes like it was nothing. The art of the big man nowadays, Greg, is ridiculous, and who knows what we're going to see 10 to 15 years from now, who knows what we're going to see from big guys. But it just it's showing sports overall how athletic people are becoming. So who would we like to see Jacob Fatu go against at SummerSlam? Would you rather do Orton or Kevin Owens? Because I feel like that's going to be the position, right? Because we got Cody with Solo. I think Jacob needs a match at SummerSlam, one-on-one with somebody, right?
Yeah, I think KO is more of a fits the style more.
Yeah.
That is just going to be a brawl. It's going to be everywhere.
And they can still speed it up when they need to and slow it down.
Right. And we should make it a no DQ match, you figured there'd be enough sneak attacks in the meantime that would make it a no DQ. They can use all the weapons. They can inflict all the damage that they want, and we're going to be here for it because it's going to be smash mouth and just brutality. So those two, I think, would be the best to do it.
But Orton hitting a RKO and Jacob Fatu off the top rope, that could be quite the visual.
It could. Definitely.
And then if they let him not sell it, just let Jacob get right back up. I mean, that really shows what Jacob Fatu is about. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting. I mean, do we think we see a one-on-one match for Jacob Fatu at SummerSlam?
If I had to bet on it, I'd say no.
Yeah,
but I hope so. They do.
Yeah,
he needs to showcase to
because right now,
how awesome he is.
I guess we got. So if we look at matches for SummerSlam, we have the title matches. So we have Damon, Priest, and Gunther. We have Drew and, or sorry, not Drew. What am I thinking? Cody and Solo, Bailey and Nia, Rhea and Liv. So that's 4 matches right there. So it's going to be, because I think we'll get the 6 to 7 match for SummerSlam. I feel like the international pay-per-views, we tend to get the 5 just because, like Scotland and, Clash of the Castle in France, you get 5 to 6 at the most. But I feel like we'll push SummerSlam to 6, 7-ish.
Yeah,
so
they should. Because
it should. Well, then I guess we got the IC title. That's a 5th match.
And then you got the U.S. title.
You got the U.S. title. So there's 6 matches right there. So, yeah, we're going to push 8 to maybe 10 match, 8 to 9 matches if we really want. But then again, like I said, you could throw Jacob at the end with the bloodline stuff and maybe wait till Bash in Berlin if he can get cleared because that's in Germany. So
there's a time to do that big card. You want to do it at SummerSlam. This is WrestleMania's little brother. So if there was a time to do a
8 to 10
bigger match, I like this. The less is more. The 5 or 6 match card, and then give each match time to breathe. But
I will say Money in the Bank. Sorry, go ahead.
No, the big events, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, they should have more matches.
Yeah. Now, Money in the Bank, I will give people I will agree with people that, man, there was too much downtime between the matches.
Mm-hmm.
Like Heat Wave was just right. But, I mean, there was a good 10 to 15 minutes between those matches and I think somebody said, it was a 3-hour pay-per-view. Yes, but there was like an hour and a half. So it's like a 3-hour movie with an hour and a half of action. So,
right.
I mean, there was a lot of downtime between stuff. So I like the less is more too if it's done. Like NXT's kind of got it right. You get a little bit of downtime. So yeah, I would think 8 to 10 matches at the most for SummerSlam would be where we want to go. Alrighty, well, we have talked a ton, so we will give you a Elite Performance commercial break and get right into some Forbidden Door talk. Maybe catching up on the past couple weeks of Dynamite because, man, there's a certain scumbag who's no longer a scumbag, Greg. So we will talk that up here in just about 45 seconds. So I couldn't remember, Greg. We talked off air. We said, I can't remember if we did talk up Forbidden Door or not, but here's the results. the Elite won, Jack Perry won, Mercedes Moné won, but we saw Britt Baker back. I feel like we did talk this up for some reason. Anyways.
Yeah, I think we did. We did do
Okay.
a preview show.
So, but we do want
We
to
didn't
talk
talk about the after the event was over.
so we can kind of jump ahead. So I did have that from last week. So we can kind of catch up real quick on this. So we're 2 weeks ago on Dynamite. Bryan Danielson won the finals. He defeated Pac. And then he did win this week, beat Hangman Page, which I want to get into more about where Hangman's headed. But so we saw that happen. The first member of Team AEW was announced last week. That's Mark Briscoe. Probably an upset with Willow getting the win over Chris, right, Greg?
I don't know if you called it an upset.
Willow's over, yes.
Yeah, and she's been doing big things. So until she beats,
go ahead,
a top girl like Mercedes or Britt, I don't think there's any more upsets for her.
Do you think so? We're going to get Willow and Chris all in, or we'll probably get them one-on-one before that, right? Because all in's at the end of August. I don't know if you can carry it out much longer between them two.
Yeah.
So
it's got to go down sooner than later.
Yeah. Britt Baker returned to Dynamite. And
you're welcome.
You're welcome. Yes, you did it.
Called it.
And Mercedes is finally going to embrace her heel side, right? Because she was definitely getting some shut the F up. Britt got all the love. And Britt, and really, man, I feel bad for her and Adam Cole. Adam had to deal with his own career-threatening stuff. It sounds like she had to deal. What a tough time for them. Like, mentally, I can't imagine where they're at. But and then Adam Cole's, still out. So, man, what a tough time for that household. But
no kidding.
But Britt and Mercedes one-on-one at All In, that's going to be quite the match to watch because, they've never. That's a one-on-one dream match because they've never physically gone at each other.
Yep, let's effing go with this one because, like I said, I spoke her name and she appeared, Britt Baker, and it was about damn time. And this is the feud to bring her back for the homegrown girl against the, what they call it, the usurper, coming in from the outside to steal the titles in the spotlight.
Yeah.
And perfect for her to become a heel because even in the Stephanie Valkyrie fight, that the crowd tilted over to Stephanie and rooting for her, whereas they had been chanting CEO on the entrance and they just shifted Rocky style. Yeah. So, during Rocky IV, went from rooting for the Russian to rooting for Rocky.
Yeah.
And props for Mercedes for recognizing that. And then on the next promo going, oh, you guys turned on me, so I'm blaming you. Mm-hmm. And so however you get there, having Mercedes as the heel is the perfect move because Britt's going to come back with all the love because she is the OG. And, whether Mercedes likes it or not, she is the standard. Mm-hmm. So can't wait for this match. It's going to be killer. And we'll save the prediction for later, but this is the perfect spot to bring her back in.
Yeah, it's interesting too because now Mercedes won't get that rematch with Stephanie for her the title she won off her. So it'll be interesting to kind of see where they go with that. Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata did pick up a win, but then this week, Greg, so Hook and Shibata have already been written off TV. I don't want to wish anybody off TV, Greg, but you're gonna hear me out. I love that Samoa Joe was written off. Because we get another season of Twisted Metal, baby. I love that. I love that show. I binged it. It was so awesome. It was a lot of fun. So I'm glad to know Samoa Joe is off. And I guess they're starting to get me into the learning tree if you give this type of violence, right?
Sure.
instead of this cheesiness, you got to have something to back it up. So now
Right.
I've had the learning tree legit take, not legit, but they've taken out, Samoa Joe, and they took out Hook, they took out Shibata, and now they're using the EVPs to get Taz. But it also makes me think like, well, Taz needs to get the like I want Taz to choke out Jericho, which
Right.
is not going to happen because as far as I know, Taz is not medically cleared to go. But Hook in the win over, and then maybe that's the way to get Taz back on TV. The fight for your job. So tell me some thoughts, what you've thought about the learning tree, and like I said, I can't wait for season 2 of Twisted Metal probably next year. But that's the reason why, because I was like, man, to ride Samoa Joe off, like that's the last thing we need, with the star power. So
Exactly.
some thoughts on the learning tree and the level of violence now that they're showing us.
Well, I'm all for it. Especially, heel stables need to be doing heel things, and
Yeah.
that's been my thing from day one. As if you're going to represent as the bad guys, then you need to show us why you're the bad guys. And the learning tree faction was just doing corny vignettes backstage, the high guy stuff,
The TV time.
right? And now we're getting to see them, dish out some punishment. So
Yeah.
as much as I hate to see Joe, getting taken out like that, it makes sense. So you're going to be the bad guys, be the bad guys. So this is what's going to get me invested into the learning tree and his goons. So you do it the right way, you got me. So now I'm be following the learning tree, see what happens, and see when inevitably Joe, Hook, Shibata, and Taz come back in and get their pound of flesh back. But all for it, and I'm still, part of my heart breaks every time I see Jericho doing this learning tree business. But there's still some redeeming parts of it. Little touches. The sticker on the title still kills me every time I see it. The For the World Championship, just it's the little things that keep me in. So otherwise I would have written it off altogether. But that's Dark Order area. And like I said, Dark Order never does anything dark. This is Jericho, tweaking little things the way Jericho does, and now
almost like Bray Wyatt with the Firefly Funhouse, where he's this Mr. Rogers type character.
Yeah.
And when it comes in the ring, or outside the ring, it's time to turn up the violence.
Right.
So I'm sure Jericho would never admit that, Greg, because Jericho's kind of egotistical, and he did create the Money in the Bank match, so we got to give him credit for that. But I think he can thank Bray Wyatt for this recent incarnation if you really kind of look at it, right? So speaking of incarnation and being dastardly, what about Hangman Page? So he just destroys Jeff Jarrett, but loses the match this week, Greg, but then says, hey, I'll do it, which means he's going to do the blood and guts match. So now we have all the elite team filled out because you have the Young Bucks, you have Okada, you have Hangman Page. Because is it usually 4-on-4 or is it 5-on-5?
It's usually 5-on-5, I believe.
So maybe Jack Perry.
Yeah, Jack Perry.
Okay.
So that's their 5.
And then so far we've had, so we can go real quick. We have Mark Briscoe, Swerve Strickland said he wants to be on Team AEW, which is funny because didn't we have Swerve turn down both teams?
No, Swerve turned down the Elite.
Okay.
But he never turned out AEW.
I guess he never said he was officially. Yeah. Okay. I couldn't remember. I knew there was I guess it's been weird because I felt like they started talking about this, a month ago, and then let it go. And now they're like, oh, yeah, we got to fill out teams because we got blood and guts happening 2 weeks. So
yeah,
we better get our Team AW. So I'm going to assume we got the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn to fill out the rest of that. But with Hangman, so I'm guessing he's going to ask for a title shot at All In, and it's going to be a 3-person match, Greg. So it'll be Swerve, Bryan Danielson, and Hangman Adam Page. Are you okay with that?
No.
No, but because why else? Because what are Hangman's going to get something out of it, right? It's got to be a title shot
yeah,
of some sort.
for sure. I mean, he gets, because
He doesn't just
remember
sign up
that
for nothing.
he wasn't going to do it until Swerve said, "I'm in."
Yeah,
And then Heyman was like,
that's
"Okay,
true.
I'm in too."
Yeah,
So Heyman's sole purpose is to get Swerve back.
yeah.
And I love the new Heyman, by the way. Just the viciousness, the scowl, he's got like the 9 o'clock shadow growing
Yeah.
in. And his match style is a lot more savage.
Yeah.
So he's fitting the image that he's given off.
Yeah.
And
I had to look to make sure he was still married and had kids because I was like, shit, is he really going through stuff?
Yeah, I mean,
because they
he
showed that
looks it
vignette
now.
of him like moving out of his house and all that, and I was like, oh God, I hope things are really good. But he's
Yeah, I
still
mean,
married, so we're still okay there.
he looks the part now, and he's
Yeah.
wrestling the part, and everything he does is with more purpose and intention, and the viciousness is stepped up. So I'm loving new Hangman, and
Yeah.
I get, he's not with the elite, but for the purpose of getting his hands back
But
on
he's gonna
Swerve,
get
he'll be with them this time. Once
and
this
he can
match
get
is
out
over,
something out. Yeah. Sorry.
yeah. So love new Hangman, what they're doing, and then uh, having Swerve declare himself the captain of Team AEW,
Yeah.
fitting.
Which makes sense. He's the champion.
Yeah, I just hate that the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn are going to be the other three, because screw
But I
that.
mean, I guess it's going to be a way for the Acclaim to show what they can do. In this type, because we've never seen them in this type of match, have we?
No, we haven't, and it can show us something else. I mean, if they can, step up their violence, because they've just been party
Yeah.
boys and fun
And
loving.
I think that's the ultimate goal, to really give them, because we keep talking. Well, we got to build up some people, Greg, and especially on the face side, because now, so we did have. We'll kind of get into it. So we had Will Ospreay defeat Daniel Garcia. MJF was there, because he wanted to help Daniel Garcia. But MJF definitely wanted to get back to the heel side of things, didn't he, Greg?
Yeah.
And that shot of him holding his neck like this, I mean, it looked like his neck was just like it was just like a baby's neck, kind of just like he was just holding it.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I mean, and then the smeared blood on the white shirt. I mean, that's always a good visual. Like when the blood and guts match, I think when Jericho and that team, they had all the white on, and just the blood, or the EVPs, they had the white. For some reason, just blood on a white shirt, boy, just makes me like extra umped in it. So, and now we're off and running on Will Ospreay and MJF for All In. And you know what, Greg? I want that to be the main event, because I want Will Ospreay to get the hero's welcome, and I want MJF to get the wankers, whatever cuss word in British slang he can get of him. So, yeah, go ahead real quick on last 2 weeks ago, and then we'll get into this week's. We've kind of intermingled, so sorry we kind of jumped back and forth. But so yeah, what do you think, Greg, of MJF finally going back? And then I guess this also does kind of hurt the Kingdom, because now you really can't have MJF and Adam Cole both as heels going at each other. So I think that's kind of dead in the water, isn't it?
It is, yeah. But with Britt just coming back, and we know that her relationship with Adam, that when he comes back, he'll get a hero's welcome. So it's going to be mini Roman style, that he doesn't even have to cut a promo to get back to babyface.
Yeah.
So I think when Adam comes back, and we know their history with MJF, that he's automatically going to be inserted babyface in our minds. And MJF going back to heel is where he belongs. Yeah. I hated him as a babyface because he was falling victim to the same stuff he used to do as a heel. and his natural role is to heel, and he's great at it. So I've been waiting for him to go back to it. He's finally there, and I couldn't be more happy about it. He's gonna be the perfect guy to go up against Will Ospreay and have, those 5-star matches that he alluded to in his promo. That the only rating he cared about came from a guy named Meltzer.
Nielsen.
So Nielsen,
MJF only cares about Nielsen, and whereas Will Ospreay cares about Meltzer.
Meltzer, right? So those promos are going to be great, and then the match is going to be off the charts, and it should be the headliner, the main event in Wembley. So, and Max can say, 2 years in a row, Wembley doesn't get a main event without me being in it. So he's got some skin in the game, and 2 years in a row, and the biggest show that we'll do all year, who's in the main event? MJF. So I love it.
Yep.
That's what needs to happen.
He opened the night too, right? Or he did the pre-show, I think, with the ROH titles. Didn't hit him. Right. I think they did double duty.
Yep, they did. They did. Yeah.
Or maybe the opening match, something like it was either close to the kickoff or whatever. So
you're right. They were on the pre-show. Yep.
Yeah. Because that's then they ended up going at each other. Kind of looking back at this past week, so I kind of brought up most of it. Mariah May, Greg, I did not foresee that coming.
No.
No. Toni Storm was a hot, bloody mess, though. I don't know what she cut herself with, but man, she did a good job. And then you gotta love the bit. I just think it's funny though that so we had MJF taking out Daniel Garcia in a bloody mess, and now we have Mariah May taking out Toni Storm in a bloody mess. I know it doesn't bug me per se, but it is interesting, which is never a good word to use. But it was probably needed too. I think we needed to define the lines between Toni and Mariah instead of just like lovey-dovey, right?
Yeah, I mean, we weren't far off from a finger poke of doom situation if we hadn't done this, because it would have been totally believable given what they've given us so far, with Mariah being the understudy for Toni Storm and being the big fangirl. She had to distinguish herself somehow. Otherwise, we could have had the infamous finger poke of doom where Toni just pokes on the chest and 1, 2, 3. And these days, you couldn't get away with that as much, but there could be an isolated moment where something like that could arise, and this would be a situation where I could imagine that happening. That she just fangirls her so hard that I'll take the fall for you, and Toni retains. But this was much better. We removed all doubt of that happening. We established Mariah May as the heel in the story, and
I guess it gets Toni away from this timeless character too, right?
It could. I'm curious what's going to happen if it does, because people have been all about timeless Toni Storm.
Oh yeah,
so,
but
she is mega over.
Yeah.
So
I guess you just wonder how long. There. Sorry, go. Sorry. Yeah, I was curious how much longer it could have went, but and maybe Mariah? She could. No, with Toni Storm, like the time was. Maybe she could play it up like, oh, I was playing. Did I not play my character well? Like have a big bandage on her head. She'll probably come out with the wrap, like the bandage wrap all around, Greg. So, Pac also wanted. I guess we do need to circle back too, because so AEW 250. They're building this up because we're getting MJF and Will Ospreay for the title. But we had Pac win a match that's going to get him a shot at this title. So, does shenanigans happen on AEW 250, Greg? And then maybe it's a triple threat? Because we don't want to leave Pac off of All In, do we?
No. And this feels like this is what's going to happen, is that, the title match is going to get interfered with by Pac,
Yeah.
and nothing's going to get resolved, and that's going to set up the 3-way.
Yeah. Or maybe Pac just says, I want my title match now, and he just inserts himself in it, and then that way we can shift and have MJF and Will Ospreay one-on-one.
Yeah, I mean, this has got to end up with the 1-on-1 match, but
Yeah.
Pac needs to get his time in too. So
Yeah.
Somehow, some way, he's going to get into that match as the third participant.
So we're gonna have. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
You gotta get him his, because he's on his mission too.
Yeah, that's true. Because he missed All In last year.
Right.
So, we're gonna get Swerve Strickland and Okada this week as well. That should be interesting to kind of see. Does that maybe main event AEW 250, or could you have Mercedes Moné go against Juan Baker? I kind of see that playing up, like Britt Baker's going to be in a mask and, go in the open challenge and, maybe defeat her by DQ or something like that. But, yeah. What do we think about Swerve and Okada? I don't know if they've ever gone. I'm curious to see if they have any history of one-on-one matches, because I don't really I'd be hard pressed to know if they have or not.
Yeah, I don't either. It could be fun, but it just smells like EVP interference.
Yeah.
Once Swerve hits the house call or is moments away from winning.
Yeah,
is what it sounds like for me. Yeah. But I think it should be a great match up until then.
Yeah. And then we actually officially fill out the Blood and Guts match, which, like I said, is in 2 weeks. So, and then we are going to get TV time with Chris Jericho, Greg, because Chris Jericho needs all the TV time he can get. I like him to maybe play it up like he didn't do any, like a denial of everything he's done the past couple weeks, because that's how he plays it up. So,
right.
I guess it'll be interesting to kind of see how they play him up as far as that goes. But they're really building this up as a special episode, though, you can tell.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to think it's the 250th episode already of, it'll be 5 years this year of AEW as a whole. So there we go. Was there anything else? So Pac, like we said, the Stampede Street Fight, there was a lot of cowboy hats in the crowd at up there in Calgary. I noticed. So I think they were selling them outside the venue too. So, we did see some stuff from Rampage. So we had Malachi Black and Brody King defeat Tony Nese and Arya Davari. We saw Roderick Strong pick up a win. Ray Phoenix picked up a win. Thunder Rosa picked up a win, but then she still got taken out by Deonna. They're still going at it, Greg, even though Deonna has, 3 wins over her?
Yeah, that's surprising because Thunder's been, consider how long Thunder was on the shelf, and then she's come back and she's eating all these L's. That's a little surprising.
Yeah. And then the Shane Taylor Promotions did pick up a win. Action Andretti's still a thing, Greg, which I always forget. So.
And then the rest of us.
Yeah. Then looking ahead, so we got Takeshita versus Tommy Billington. So this is the Dynamite Kid's son. He suffered, I think he passed away very early on just because of all his reckless style of fight. So we're getting an ROH contenders match between Roderick Strong and Dalton Castle. I'm guessing Roderick gets the win there, Greg. Do you have any thoughts on? Yeah. Bang Bang Gang. So I'm hearing Jay White is on the shelf, unfortunately, which is not good because I believe they have to vacate the titles. So they'll be in action. Nyla Rose will be in action. We still got the conglomeration. We still got Orange Cassidy and Kyle O'Reilly going at, tagging up. Sky Blues back on TV. And then apparently we're getting just now Top Flight versus Shane Taylor Promotions. So there you go. Action Andretti is out on the outskirts of that match, Greg. But that is Collision for tonight. Anything else for the good of the matter that I might have missed or you want to bring up real quick? because we have had quite the show today.
Yeah, but just lots.
We had to
really
catch up.
I know, right? We cover a lot of ground. Really impressed by all the matches that on the big cards that we had, Money in the Bank, um, Heat Wave. Like I said, for all the misfires they had during those matches, it may have been the best NXT card that I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
So props to them, and they'll clean it up. That's why they're in NXT. They got to get their game right. They got to get their moves right. They got to figure out lots of things. But
it's given the vibe of like NXT Black and Gold.
Yeah, it's not
Like
there yet, but they're getting there slowly.
They're creating their own, which I think is good, because we'll never recreate that magic.
No.
I mean, when you look at all the names that were involved there, Greg, I mean, and it was mostly independent guys and girls that had worked their asses off to get there. So, I mean, this is starting. But, I mean, I think Shawn Michaels, I was listening. Now, I got to give you credit. I was listening to Busted Open Radio this week, Greg, just for a few minutes. But LaGreca had mentioned he thinks Shawn Michaels really took, like, Wesley as his pet project. And I can tell that Shawn Michaels really has, his fingerprints all over NXT now. And that's showing, through the, what's going on down there. So
yeah. And then the Money in the Bank matches, like I'm surprised half of them aren't dead with all those spots and just the crash and burning that went on in those matches. And then the singles matches delivered too. It was just a great week of wrestling on the major card front. So super impressed. And then shout out to Team USA. They were looking good. It took a minute to get going against Canada, but I think they're going to come back with some gold medals. And since there are two Phoenix Suns on the team, I definitely want to see that happen. Mm-hmm. And maybe give a spark to this year's edition of the Suns and get deeper into the playoffs than he did this year. So,
yeah, the big story was Paul George going to the Sixers. He felt disrespected by the Clippers, Greg. I feel like that's his go-to whenever he's, I think they said he originally was offered 2 years, or $60 million. Such disrespect, Greg, to give him that much. Disrespect. Oh my God. 2 years, $60 million.
I'll be so insulted.
And then I think they bumped it to what?
For 2 years.
I was gonna say, yeah, I think I guess it is weird because we're approaching it from our perspective of I'll never see if you put my family's combined income and probably your family's income, we'll never see half of that money. So, but then they did bump it up, Greg, to 4 years, $200 million, but no trade clause. So he was just every time I start to think like I'm on the Paul George train, he just ends up saying a little bit of too much, Greg, and I'm like, okay, because I was kind of like, you know what, if we could finagle something to get him here back in a Pacers uniform, let him get the hero's welcome, let him, and then he goes to the Sixers, and now I just want to beat the brakes off of him. So they did announce the in-season tournament too. My Pacers will have the Pistons, Bucks, Heat, and Raptors, I believe. So they had to put us and the Bucks in the same field, didn't they?
Of course they did. Got to have that heavyweight showdown going on.
Yeah. So, not the same Bucks team that because the Bucks have lost a couple of their parts. So it's going to be interesting to see the Bucks. Celtics still look like they'll kill. Jason Tatum got the biggest deal, I believe, in NBA history. And now Jalen Brunson got the biggest extension, I believe, in Knicks history. So all the top teams are getting all their pieces back and going to be there for the next 4 to 5 years. So I know your West is probably still a tad better, Greg, but I think my East is still going to be up for grabs, like 2 through 8. Like, I think there's still going to be a lot of jockeying for position. And then, like we said, in your West, you're going to have the Thunder another year older. You're going to have the Timberwolves another year older. Your Suns better do it, Greg.
By older, you're talking about they're going from like an average age of 23
to 23.5.
Yeah, which is stupid.
That's what's crazy. Like, a lot of these teams are going to be good for the next 4 to 5, 6 years. Like, the Celtics sign in. I mean, Jason Tatum is 27. Like, that's, I think we feel like he's probably 30 something, but he's only 27. So yeah. Now, but what is Booker's? He's still not 30 though, right? Booker's
No, he's
24,
28, 29, somewhere in
okay.
there. So he's still on the right side of 30.
But you got Durant still up there. So yeah, you got to wonder. And then Chris Paul is on the Spurs now, and then the Mavericks got Klay Thompson.
Yep.
So yeah, we got some shift happening in the West that really could shake things up. So because you got to think the Spurs are going to be better, and it's going to be Lob City. Well, not even Lob City because Wemby doesn't need to jump.
Right.
So anyways, but it's like that the kid I put in our group chat, 7, 8, 18-year-old, like 7, 8, 18-year-old. Better not let WWE see him, Greg. Triple H might be licking his chops to go after him, but yeah.
No, let's not do that.
So thanks for watching. We'll be back at it next week. I think, what is next week? Okay, we got a few weeks before SummerSlam, so yeah, we're still good. SummerSlam weekend, we might have to meet on Friday because I picked up a little state fair job, so
nice.
I'll talk about it when it gets closer. So I'll be working our state fair for the weekends in August for some time, just the first weekend, 3 weekends in August for our state fairs. So just need to get a little more funds in the bank, as they say. So a little more money in the bank. And on that note, we will end it there. So.